Hello students. In this video lecture I am going to discuss about generic code. It's going to be a small topic but in which I will be covering the idea of a generic code and how to write the generic code for linked list. So that will be covered in this video lecture. But before going into the aspect of generic code, let's just try to understand the basics of a linked list. So in a linked list there is something called nodes. Nodes are nothing but the elements which are all interconnected by the help of a linked list. So in other words, a linked list is made of collection of nodes. Each node will have two fields, namely the data field and the link field. So the data field is the one place where we will be putting the storing the information, and the link field is the one which will be basically a pointer, and it will be pointing to the next node in the list. You can actually compare the linked list with an array. An array is similar to a linked list. It's also a collection of elements, but it doesn't have a pointer arrangement like we have got in the linked list. So in an array, the subsequent elements are simply identified just based on the addresses. So the starting address of an array is simply incremented to move to the next element, and if you increment it further you can move to the subsequent elements till the end of the array. But in a linked list that is not possible, because each value gets stored in a different memory location and the addresses are not in sequence. Unlike an array, in the addresses of various data elements in a linked list are not necessarily following the order. So there is a different support needed for us to traverse in a linked list. That help is nothing but with the is it actually the link field. So every node will also have an address pointing to the next node. So we will be creating a chain structure, and from the first node we can go to till the last node just by reading the link field of the each of the nodes. So this is what I call as a node. A node in a linked list is an element where we have got the data and the address of the next node. And for this, because of this, we also call them as self-referential structures. So each node points to the next node, and when you declare a pointer of this particular type, you will actually declare the pointer to be of the type of the node itself. We will see that example shortly, that whenever we want to create a link field or a link pointer, the data type of that pointer is the node itself. So it's called self-referential structures. And though one address is necessary for the management of the linked list, we can have more number of pointers also depending upon our implementation. For example, there is something called as a double linked list, where there will be two pointers, one pointing to each pointing to the two different directions. This is a pictorial representation of a node in a linked list. So basic requirement is there is one data field and one pointer field, and this linked list is sufficient for representing the linear list. So for example, you want to create a stack or a queue, there we can just go for this node structure where one data and one link field is enough. But as we get into the non-linear data structures like the trees and graphs, we will be requiring more number of pointers, because each node will be connected to multiple nodes. So we have to have multiple pointers to accommodate that. And similarly, the data field can also be varied according to the requirement. We can have a single field data, or we can have multiple fields, or we can even have a structure as a data field. Again, it's all depending upon our what for purpose we are implementing the linked list. Accordingly, we can make our own selections of these options. So these are examples. In the first node, we have a single data field which is of type number. Second, we have got name, ID and grade points, each of different data types. And similarly, we can also have a structure a variable itself as a data field. So these are all left to the implementation. We have already come across the role of pointers in a linked list. The pointers are the ones which interconnect the linked nodes in the linked list. In other words, without the usage of pointers, we can't construct any linked list. But there is one pointer which is essential for keeping track of all the other nodes in the linked list, which is the head pointer. So the head pointer is nothing but the starting pointer which has the address of the first node. So when you start the program at the beginning, you won't have any nodes in the linked list, and you will just be adding the head pointer with the null value, meaning that it doesn't contain any nodes. When you create nodes, you will assign the first node address into the head pointer, and then the link field of the nodes will take care of the remaining interconnections. So when you want to traverse in a linked list, either for searching a particular location or for deleting a node or for adding a new node, so whatever be the purpose you want to access the linked list, you have to first go to the head pointer and collect the address stored in it, and then you can get into the linked list and you can do whatever task you want to accomplish. So the head pointer is like the entry point of a linked list. But we can also have other pointers, like we can have a last node last pointer. Let's say you want to connect the last node with the first node to create a circular linked list. Then you will be storing the address of the first node in the last node. But otherwise, the last node pointer will be having null value. Now we are going to discuss about the topic of our lecture, which is how we can create generic codes, or what are generic codes and what are their advantages. So the generic codes are codes that are not specific to any data type. So abstract data types are objects. We have studied that, we have discussed earlier that abstract data type is more of an object in an object oriented programming language. So it is better to create generic objects rather than creating objects of particular type. So what I am referring as generic type is that, let us say you are implementing a function to sort a list of numbers, okay, or you to sort a list of values. You can if you want to sort a list of integers, then you will create a function to do sorting of integers. If you want to create a function for floating point, then you will rewrite that function to create a function for floating point. So in this way, for each data type that you want to sort, you have to write different functions. But it will be much efficient and better if you could write one function which can be customized to different data types at runtime. So it is like a generic function. So you can write a generic sorting function which will simply sort a list of values irrespective of whether it is integers or character or float, and that will be decided at runtime based on the value you supply. If you supply integers to that function, then it will get customized to integer sorting and will sort the numbers. Similarly, for a floating point, it will become a floating point sorting function. If this, I mean, you would have got some experience of this idea if you had learned templates in C++. So there is a concept of templates in C++ where you can create a generic data types and methods. But even if you haven't studied, we will still be covering the meaning of it with this discussion. So generic code allows us to write one set of code and apply it to any data type. For example, if you want to create a stack, you can create a stack of integers, we can create a stack of float, we can create a stack of character, string. So instead of creating different structure for each data type, we can create one generic stack structure. That is the advantage of generic code. So generic code is data type independent code, and we can convert it into a particular data type at runtime when we know actually what data type we are going to deal with. Now coming to the C programming has got a very limited option for implementing the generic code. So we are going to consider two examples and we will be discussing them in detail. First example is pointer to void, or in other words void pointer. Second example is pointer to function. So I believe most of you are familiar with both these concepts. Let's first take the void pointer. A void pointer is also called as a generic pointer. So the idea of the void pointer is that normally when you declare a pointer, you used to associate the pointer with a particular data type. Let's say you want to create a pointer of type integer. So you will be creating int asterisk ptr, which means this pointer can now point to any integer variable. Similarly, you can create pointer of float, or once you created an integer pointer, it will remain forever an integer pointer. You can never transform that into a float pointer. So that is the limitation of that. You have to create different pointers anticipating different data types. So compatibility needs to be taken care. But we have the option of void pointer. So a void pointer is something which is like a data type less pointer. So when you declare a pointer as a void pointer, at that moment it's the data type is not fixed. So the compiler is ready to accept any data type later, and you have to do a typecasting to convert that into a specific pointer by assigning a particular value. We will see an example for that. So here I'm first declaring a generic pointer by using the keyword void and then the declaration of the pointer. But after that, you can see that I'm having two variables. One is an integer and other is a float. At one line I'm assigning the integer address to the pointer, and at another statement I'm assigning the floating point address to the pointer. Both addresses are successfully accepted and stored into the pointer, and there are no complaints from the compiler. And this is the benefit of void pointer, that the pointer is gets transformed into different data types based on the type of value it gets assigned. But one very important point here is that though the assignment of the pointer to assignment of the address to the pointer does not require any typecasting, the dereferencing of the pointer to print the value has to be done with the typecasting. For just look at this statement. I want to print the value of asterisk p. Asterisk p may be integer or float at the moment based on what was the last statement we did. So if we had assigned a floating point address to this pointer, then it is pointing to a floating point value. So it has to print a floating point value, or it must be an integer. But the implementation of a void pointer is done in such a way that you have to do typecasting when you want to retrieve the value. So when you want to retrieve or dereference the value, by the time typecasting is must, otherwise you will see an error message. So here I'm typecasting it to integer, so that it is printing the value of the pointer, which address which is being pointed by this particular pointer. So this is the idea of a generic pointer. A generic pointer is basically a void pointer which is declared with the keyword of void without any specific data type, and at different times in the program it can act as pointer of different types. As if we have created multiple pointers, a single pointer will act as different pointers. This is just an example of the same which I have already given, that you can declare a void pointer and assign any data type. Now another example under the generic code under the C language is the usage of malloc. So hope you remember that malloc is a function which is used for creating memory allocation at runtime. So you can declare variables and get the memory allocated at compile time. That is the common option where we can declare variables at the beginning of every function in C. Another option is dynamic or runtime allocation, for which we will be using the malloc function. So the malloc function will take the demand of the requirement of the user at runtime, and then memory will be allocated instantly, and that memory will then be used by the program. This is the idea of malloc. And a point we should know here is that malloc is actually returning a void pointer. So it's not the malloc function has been implemented such that it doesn't return a specific address, like it does not return integer address or character address or float address. It simply returns a void address. So the idea behind this is that you can create any memory using malloc, and you can customize it to, or you can typecast it to a specific data type of your choice. So the malloc function does not restrict the memory to be used for a particular type. It's left to open to the programmer, who can typecast this memory returned by the malloc to a particular type of his choice. You know that the new function works in a different way. Just go and refer the syntax of new function. The new function will return address for a particular type. So this is the actual syntax of malloc. So the malloc is starting with the typecasting with int asterisk. So this is what I am talking about. Whenever malloc returns some address, that address is of type void. But if you want to use it for storing integers, then you have to qualify the statement by int asterisk within brackets, so that that address will be mapped to integer variable, and then it can be used for storing integer values. Okay, now we are moving on to the linked list which we earlier discussed. So just like we had seen these examples, we should also create generic functions to handle the node structure, so that we can create linked list which can accommodate any data type, rather than creating linked list for a specific data type. Using generic function, we can create generic node structures. And as we discussed, the node will have two fields, data and link. Our problem is with the data field, not with the link field, because pointer is going to be link is a type of pointer, and the data field can be of any type. It can be integer, float, character, or string. So which we want to make it generic. Again, we are going to use that idea which we so far discussed, which is void pointer. So what we are going to do is that we are going to create a linked list node with the data field made as a void pointer. As a result, it's ready to accept any data type of data at runtime. So we can create an entire linked list where the node data will always be void pointers. So when you actually send the data to the pointer, it will then become a particular data type. So we can create a generic node structure just based on this simple idea of using the void pointers as data. So this is how it will be done. We can see that we are declaring the data field as type void pointer. And one more point I want you to note down is that I previously mentioned that the link, this is called as a self-referential structure, and you can see here is that the link field is declared with the data type of itself, because it's going to, okay, what is a data type of a pointer? How do you determine the data type of a pointer? The data type of a pointer is based on what value it is going to point to. If you are planning to make the pointer to point to integer, then you will declare it as a integer pointer. Or if you want to point it to make it to point to a floating point variable, then you will declare it as a float pointer. So similarly, here this node link field is going to point to node of its own type. So we are declaring the link type as struct node itself, with the asterisk to make it as a pointer. Just a representation of how the nodes are created in adder. First, initially we will have a head field with a null value. Then we will be adding one node to that. I'm just assuming, for example, the address of the first node is 100, which means the head will be having the address of 100. Next, we create one more node whose address is now pushed into the previous node. So the first node is having the link field as 101, which means that it's pointing to the second node, and the second node's null field is, link field is null because it is the last node. So it is with the help of this null value we can determine whether we have reached the end of the linked list or not. This is a sample code we are creating the node as we discussed. So we declared the void pointer as the data, and we create the link pointer, and this is the function where we are creating the memory for the node, and by this time we are using the malloc function. So malloc with the node as the node asterisk. Carefully note here that the typecasting is done to the structure type, not to any particular data type. So when you determine the node type, it will automatically be typecasted accordingly. So there is the declaration malloc is made use of for creating the node address, memory for the node. After that, I am assigning that value data that is passed as an argument to this function into the data pointer. So it actually here the typecasting happens. When you pass the item value of a particular type, that value type will determine the type of the data pointer. I will show in the next line, next page, how this is done. So here what we do is we take, okay, we are creating the data address for the data, and you can clearly see now we are using integer with the malloc, which means that we are now planning to store integer data to assign to the data field. So we have now decided, so main function is the place where we make that decision, and we can change it to float if you need, but you don't need to change the entire code for that. You can just keep changing the data type at this main function without altering the remaining part of the program. So you can convert it into integer, and now what will happen is that the value is being passed to the create node, and this value will be assigned to the data field, and data field will now move from void to integer. So this is exactly the statement where we are assigning the data to the one more generic data type available in generic implementation available in C is pointer to function. So the second tool that is required to create the C generic code is pointer to function. All of you know that functions are also occupying memory like other members of a program, like variables, arrays. Even functions are memory resident. They also take memory, and they also take a large amount of memory, which means that we can know the base address of a function and use it to create a pointer also. So just like we create a variable pointer, array pointer, we can also, and structure pointer, we can also create a function pointer. That is the idea. And how do we access the address of the base address of a function? It's similar to array access. So for an array, the name holds the starting address. Similarly, the function name holds the starting address of a function. We can easily retrieve it and assign to a pointer. For example, we have got some 4 functions. Now we will have the pointers created with the name of the function. So automatically every function name is inherently a pointer holding the address of the base address of the function. So we can use it for creating pointers to the functions. So what we do is that we have to first declare a function pointer. First step is the declaration of function pointers. That requires a special syntax. That syntax is being shown here. So you have to declare the return type of the original function has to be you mentioned as the return type of the pointer. There should not be any mismatch between that. So void is mentioned here because the function to be pointed by this pointer is also void. After that we should have a opening parenthesis and then name of the function pointer asterisk f1 and then the closing parenthesis. This two parentheses are crucial. If you miss it, then the compiler will confuse this with a normal pointer declaration. It won't recognize this as a function pointer. So you have to enclose the function pointer with the parenthesis. And that similarly the arguments are also just retained with the to be compatible with the original function. So if it is taking void argument, this also is mentioned with void. If it is taking two integers, then this is also declared with the two integers. We are now looking at an example, and in this example we are going to see uh, uh, that returns the larger of any two pieces of data. We are just going to compare two values and find out which value is larger, and this function uses two pointers to void. We will see the actual code for this particular example. The idea we have here is that we want to separate the original logic from the function where we are going to make use of that logic. So we call it as application program. The application program is the one that is going to consume the program for which is going to do the finding the largest of numbers, and that will be implemented as the generic code. So the original logic where we are going to find out the larger of the two numbers will be implemented as a generic code, and the one that is going to call this will determine what data type it wants to pass. Accordingly, the larger function will become customized to a particular data type, and it will find the larger of the two values. And for that we also will be using an additional function called compare function. So the larger is going to be a function which will make a call to compare. The compare function will actually compare the two values and will return a value based on the comparison, which is either which will be indicating whether a is bigger than b or b is bigger than a. So that will be returned by the compare function, and now the larger will disclose the, or it will display the result based on the return value of the compare function. We are now looking at the implementation of this problem. So we have declared large, there is a function called larger which is taking three parameters. First parameter is the first value which we want to compare. Second parameter is the second value which is to be compared, and the third is actually a function pointer which is a function pointer to the compare function. And for this we are passing the two void pointers which are nothing but the two data values, the two values which we want to compare. And inside the function we make a call to this function using we make a call to the compare function using the using the function pointer by passing the two values, and if the return value is greater than 0, the result is data one is the largest one, else data 2 is largest. So this is a simple logic where we are making a function called compare, which will do the comparison of the two values, and it will return a value which is either greater than 0 or less than 0, and if it is greater than 0, like say 1, then the result is data 1 is larger. If it is say -1, then data 2 is larger. This is the main function where the larger function is called. See here you can see that we do a typecasting. So this is what we call as a consumer function or the application program, and this is called as the core logic or of a business logic, where It's being nowhere we could see the data type mentioned, it's all void. But at the time of consumption of the logic where we do the typecasting into integer, and here this is the actual function name which is being passed as a argument. You are actually passing the function pointer as an argument to another function. Generally, normally we don't come across these kind of programs, but it is also possible to write functions this way. So we are indirectly we are passing one function as an argument to another function, and this is the simple logic behind the compare function. It takes the two values, compares the two values, and pass return 1 if it is greater than, else it returns -1. This is the idea of the generic code. So the generic code, I am just summarizing what we have discussed under the topic. Generic code is code which is independent of the data types. So it is much better than writing code specific to data types, because you can write one code which can be used for different data types at runtime. So based on which value that is being assigned, it can act as a code for integer, or code for float, or code for character or string. So that is at the time of usage or consumption it can be determined. So this is the idea, and with different languages have different amount of support for generic code. C has very limited support. We can declare a void pointer, and we can declare a function pointer. So both of this are data type independent, and we have seen that how these two ideas can be incorporated into a node implementation for a simple usage. Thank you.